Hi, I'm Old Sneelock. Welcome to another episode of Old Sneelock's Workshop. I have a little backsaw, a little Disston. It's a early 1970s era backsaw. They actually made them pretty good in those days. They've gone downhill since then, but this one will turn out to be a pretty good little backsaw. I'm going to sharpen it up for a friend of mine. I want to clean up and sharpen this nice little Disston backsaw. First thing I want to do is take the plate out. That way I can get all the rust off of the plate. Not very rusty, it's mostly dirt, which is really nice. Let's see if these nuts come out of there fairly easy. This is a recently made saw. Recent by, I mean, looks like a early 70s, late 60s style saw. Ten minutes later, This is called jointing the saw. Before I do this, I want to put some marker on it. Just take a black magic marker and run it across the teeth from back to front. We just want to darken the teeth so that we can see when we're filing on it, it'll show a shiny spot. Don't do this with one that you really love because it's gonna screw up the tip on the marker. Now that I've run the jointer across it, you should be able to see the shine on the tips of the teeth. And that's what you're looking for. It's just a little glint right at the tip. All that does is make sure that all the teeth are the same height. You don't want to have some teeth taller than others because they will cut more and you'll end up with a saw that jerks and jumps going through the wood. This is a handy little thing to have. Mr. Pete has one of these, and I had mine probably as long as he has. It lets you get right up and see stuff without having to finagle around a magnifying glass. And it also lets you flip it up out of the way. The focal length is kind of short on mine, but that's okay. It lets me see, and that's what I'm really after. Now this saw has been filed rip, so it actually makes it a little easier. I just have to hold the file at 90 degrees and run it across. Now that's sharp. Oh yeah. Now we just need to do the handle and we're good. Old die maker showed me how to do this. This is just 150 grit emery paper, which is cloth backed sandpaper. Lets me put my finger on top of it, and my finger holds it over the part that I want to sand. And as I pull the sandpaper through, my finger is pushing it down over the area. Works really nice. Now, I don't know all the chemistry behind this, but I do know that boiled linseed oil makes a really nice finish. And it goes on easy. I'm just using a rag and wiping it on there. I don't have to be too careful about how thick or thin I've got it in any one spot, and I'm not looking for brush strokes. I'm not worried about that. Does look nice, doesn't it? When that dries off, I'll put a coat of wax on it. It's going to be perfect. At least in my estimation. At the old shop, I had a real problem with rust. The shop used to be an old hog barn, and I worked on it, but I never really finished it. And it had holes big enough that you could throw a cat through them. At least in the upstairs. I had the downstairs pretty well done, but the upstairs was pretty well open. So there was a lot of air flowing through there. And then in the wintertime, everything rusted up. Water would condense on it, and it would rust up. My mom gave me this can of Butcher's Boston polish, amber paste wax, and this was something that she got into doing antique furniture. It was reproduction antique furniture. She would buy kits and put them together. And this really worked well to make her projects look good. And she gave me this can, and I used it for, I don't know, 10 years. The Butcher's Boston polish, I couldn't find it anymore. After this can ran empty, and I mean, I ran it out to the point where there's nothing left in it. When it went empty, I tried finding more and I couldn't. Ended up finally finding some, but in the meantime, I found this Minwax paste finishing wax. It doesn't have the same odor to it that the amber paste wax does, and it doesn't have quite the same color, but it works. This stuff works really good. It's relatively inexpensive, and I like it a lot for putting on both metal and wood. Now, I did manage to find the BWC company, which bought out the Boston Paste Wax Company. And so the Butcher Company in Marlboro, Maryland is now replaced by the BWC Company in San Jose, California. Have not used this. I bought it and I thought, well, I'm just going to use up the last of the Minwax because I haven't even opened this can yet. Well, it's the same color as this stuff used to be. This is kind of orange. And this is more of a tan color. So on this run, I'm going to try this stuff just to see what happens. I kept the can just because. Now the only reason for the rubber gloves is because I don't want to have to keep scrubbing my hands with a fingernail brush to get the junk off of it. I'm not concerned about this hurting me in any way. It's just getting lazy. I have a standing order that anything terry cloth that's going to be tossed, I get. I really like it for shop rags. Especially for doing things like putting wax on and taking wax off. Now we let that set while the toad is letting the blow dry. We'll let the wax dry on the saw plate. About a half an hour, we should be all set. And then go back to doing assembly. Oh, this is the saw that I picked up at Habitat for Humanity. A little bit of elbow grease and some filing and Scotchbrite. Got it looking pretty good. Cuts good too. If you have any suggestions for a new video, questions about today's video, or any of the other videos on the channel, just drop a note in the comments. You know I read them all. I do like backsaws. Just kind of cool. Thanks for watching.
This video is not to be viewed by anyone under the age of 13 in the U.S. or 16 in the European Union, without the express written permission of the parents or legal guardians of the underage person. Such written permission must be on file at the local government entity in charge of enforcing the rules and regulations established by the FTC. Anyone violating these terms is admitting by default that they hold harmless the owners and operators of this channel. Any and all questions should be addressed to your local branch of the FTC.